a little word of thanks from Canada. I've been a journeyman mechanic for over 20 years now. Bought my very first Harley this spring. Been riding metric bikes for about 15 years now. When I bought that bike, I was pretty well clueless on pretty much everything. I'd like to thank you guys a lot for your site, because it gave me the information I needed to do my own services and, just do all the basic things that I want to do. I pulled the outer fairing off, and installed my garage door opener on there, and I just like to thank you guys very much, because the information on the internet, YouTube, is kind of a joke, but you guys have a really nice site set up. Really appreciate it, and I'd like to say thank you. So keep up the good work, you guys. I spend my evenings when I have nothing better to do just watching your videos. Like tonight I was sat down and I was watching the video on removing the ignition. Well, I don't have any intention of removing it, but it's a good pastime. It gets me informed about my bike. And
all right, Renee Rivard of Canada.
That's cool.
What do you think of that, Oscar?
Right on. That's what I'm talking about, eh?
It's amazing,
and I was
man.
just up there this weekend, so I feel a special bond.
Yeah, dude, and just using our videos like that and appreciating it, and just watching to get ahead and learn more about his bike and all that kind of stuff. It's freaking awesome.
That is pretty cool. That's what it's all about.
That is what it's all about, buddy.
And now, straight from the Law-Abiding Biker Media Studio,
out of sunny Yakima, Washington,
we bring you another episode of the
#1 listen to motorcycle podcast.
We're in your head.
We're in your head.
We're in your head.
We're in your head.
Oscar,
Hi.
what do you say we just frickin' do this, huh?
I'm ready to ride.
Got live audience right now, YouTube live. Thanks,
What's shaking?
everybody.
What's shaking?
Did the feed crash? Some guys are asking. I have no idea. No, okay. David LaBelle says no, so somebody crashed on their end. But anyways, guys, welcome back, you freaking Bikaholics. This is the podcast for the motorcycle majority, the Big MM, also known as the...
It's been a while. But
90,
I was going to say, give me a chance. 99%. Come on.
You had the dumb look on your face, dude.
I was thinking about some motor oil, I think.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what's in there.
Oscar's brain is fried because we've been researching this Milwaukee-Eight motor for you guys. This brand new 107 CI. So cool. I researched, prep, probably spent at least 5 hours yesterday.
Yeah, I got a couple of 3 hours into it.
You have to just engulf yourself in it, and I really wanted to learn about it. So that's the kind of work we put in for you guys, all you guys out there. Put in a lot of work so that we can bring you the most up-to-date and correct information. That's right. Before we get started, I do have just one question. What are you waiting for, Bikaholics? Mount up. Let us take you on another wild-ass ride with this new Milwaukee-Eight. Hang the frick on, throttle down. Don't let Oscar buck you off the back.
Oh, buddy.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Oh.
All right, guys. Welcome back. Ryan Erlacher here, your host of the Law-Abiding Biker Podcast, and, of course, your
high-tech redneck.
Yeah, man, you are
come
rusty.
I know. My brain is full of motor stuff. The other stuff, it's frivolous.
It
totally
is.
Frivolous.
And that is the man, the myth, the legend, Oscar. Straight up in the studio. And we're really happy to have Oscar.
Just happy to be here.
I didn't know if I was going to be able to get Oscar in here. And I know the Milwaukee-Eight motor got announced in late August. And it's really an episode that I wanted to have Oscar on board because he can bring, as you guys know, listen to him in the past, he is very mechanically minded. He is one of our technical advisors here at Law-Abiding Biker Media. We use him for a lot of stuff, and he made it happen. So here he is. You heard the voicemail at the intro. We really appreciate that. And this episode is made possible by the following patrons, guys. That's right. You want to thank them there, Oscar, real quick?
Dan Gellner of Klamath Falls, Oregon, just down the road. Dale Dixon of Port Charlotte, Florida. And Israel Cuevas of Cache, Oklahoma.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
They took action. lawabidingbiker.com/patron, Patreon. Get hooked up. You can pledge a certain amount per piece of content. That's right. No risk. You can put a monthly cap. There are benefits, guys, to include that T-shirts and premium videos and that awesome private Facebook group that is out of control.
I think it is really. I see so much stuff, and I'm like, that is amazing.
We got some smart people in there.
Oh, some of those guys. Yeah, wow. I just take a back seat to those guys.
And like we say, guys, it's better than any forum because you can trust the information because you know who you're actually talking to and you get to know the people that are giving you advice in there. So, again, we appreciate the patrons, guys. They help put a little fuel in the law-abiding biker gas tank so we can keep this thing heading on down the road. And a real quick announcement on a new free video. Of course, we always have new free videos. We're pumping them out on our YouTube channel, lawabidingbiker.com/YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, guys. You'll get alerts like you did right here for this live event. We are live. And new free video, how to install Harley-Davidson Touring Extended Reach Floorboard Pans for tall riders, guys. We actually did that to Lurch's Road Glide special. And, of course, it's a completely free video for you guys. You can get it over at lawabidingbiker.com/Harley Extended Floorboards, all one word. And at any time, you can just head over to our website and use the search bar in the upper right-hand corner and find the videos that you need that will suit your needs, tickle your fancy.
A little tickling never
There's
hurts.
nothing wrong with the fancy, and there's nothing wrong with tickling the fancy.
Nothing wrong with a little tickling.
I'm just saying. Look at this, dude. I'm trying to chat here. Shout out Belgium, dude.
Wow.
A guy shout out from Belgium, dude.
That's cool.
Belgium. I got to spell it right. Can't wait to hear you guys think about that. Okay, cool. So I know we got a lot of people live. I'm going to try to chat as much as I can. Unfortunately, we don't have Oscar set up with chat. I'll try to figure this out that we're still using this YouTube live.
It's better that way. I can't really type anyway.
We got to figure it out because that way you could be chatting too. And it's my bad. So I'll try to stay up on it, guys, but we're going to get down and dirty with the Milwaukee-Eight motor today. And if you're not familiar with it, I know everybody's busy and you may not have had time to really dig in and research like Oscar and I did for you. And so we're going to bring you, what is it about? What's our thoughts? Is it cool? Was it a good move on Harley? Is it, maybe if we have time, we'll get into some of the other competition that they have, that they're facing out there. But we really do have a lot of information on it. So with that said, Oscar, what do you say? We just break it down. And of course, now this is going to come on 2017 touring models.
Right.
Okay. Here's what's eliminated, guys, for 2017. I don't know if you knew this, Oscar.
No.
These are the models for the 2017 lineup. Since we're talking about the 2017 lineup, is they're no longer going to make the Sportster 72. Dyna Switchback is gone. Fat Boy Low. Of course, the regular Fat Boys are good, but the Fat Boy Low is gone. The Electra Glide Ultra Classic Low, gone. October, this is interesting. In October, the plant, Harley, is halting all V-Rod production.
No more V-Rod.
No more V-Rod, and they'll have limited supplies of V-Rods for 2017 because
they'll have some left.
They'll have some left. So if you're a V-Rod fanatic out there, you guys, and you want a V-Rod, this is your last chance unless you want to find an used one, and their value is probably going to go up a bit used-wise, right?
Could be.
Because then it's going to,
it could create a demand, but
right.
If you love the V-Rod, buy a 16 and then don't get rid of it because it may come back in 4 or 5 years. But
right
now that was their first shot of water cooling, and it didn't do that well.
It didn't.
But I know guys that have them, they'll love them.
The people that have V-Rods it's a niche, and they're fanatical about it.
Oh, and they love them. Yeah, guys ride them all over. So
yeah,
if you love them, better buy a 16.
No V-Rod parts availability. Somebody's saying, yeah, no more V-Rod. There's exclamation points.
Well, yeah.
That's from Markets 371. Yeah, go ahead.
Anytime a vehicle is discontinued, and thus go the parts made for it. So,
right. Yeah, unless
aftermarket will be making stuff for it for a while, but unless they bring it back, that stuff will all start to taper off.
Right, put that microphone up to your mouth.
Yeah,
so people can hear you.
I'm just moving around here.
Your nose should be touching that thing.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
When I had boogers, I didn't want to get any boogers on there in case someone else used it.
That's all right. No, please do try to touch your nose on it because I got to bring your audio up.
Oh,
They got rid of the CB. Eric Freund says they got rid of the CB touring too. He's in the live chat. And again, all you listeners out there, this will come out in podcast format. Of course, all our episodes do lawabidingbiker.com/live if you want to experience the live event and see what it's like live behind the scenes. We'd love to have you here. There is a email list. Sign up right in the upper right-hand corner where you can sign up. The only email you'll get on that list is when we go live, and there's a huge button about a day before, and you can come back and hit that button, and it'll take you to whatever platform we're on, which is YouTube right now. Now, let's just get into it because we got a lot to talk about.
Totally redesigned, not redesigned, totally new motor.
Bring this down just a little bit so it's straight at your mouth. There you go.
Oh.
Yeah, good.
Hey.
Perfect.
Totally new motor, not just a little bit bigger. Not, we redesigned a few things, but a totally new motor.
Yes, redesigned from the ground up, in fact. New cases, new cylinders, new heads, new flywheel, and yeah, go ahead.
Well, they had it's not a harmonic balancer, but something similar was added.
And it's a reweighted, right?
Yeah.
The flywheel has been reweighted to increase inertia by 20%. And do you want to talk about the flywheel just a little bit? You mentioned it there. And remember, it just depends how technical you want to get into it.
Let's start at the top.
Okay. Because it's not really technically in order, but if you want to start here, that's fine.
Well, the biggest thing is four valves.
That's
right. Why it's the Milwaukee-Eight. 4 valves per cylinder.
So 8 valves total?
8 valves total, which means more flow in and out.
Right.
Way more flow in means more power for the same. You'd get more power for the same setup. Although the setup's different too because the throttle body's bigger. So
it does 5 millimeters,
yep,
right?
55 instead of 52.
Right.
So you can flow more air and fuel into the combustion chamber, which they made smaller. Right?
Right.
Flatter but smaller.
Right?
Which raises compression. So you get more air in, higher compression, more power. Everyone wins.
Right. Now, one of the big things, yes, and a lot of people confuse just if you're out there, there's a lot of people, it's the Milwaukee-Eight because it's the 8th motor. No, it's not. It's actually the 9th motor, Harley-Davidson motor redesign. So that's why they call it the Milwaukee-Eight is because it has 8 valves.
Right, exactly. And that's, that's pretty standard in automotive. So, 2 valves per cylinder or 4 valves per cylinder seems to be kind of what's, things have come and gone and they've always gone back to the 4 valve setup. Even cars, you've had like 3 valves or 5 valves per cylinder, 3 valves per cylinder. All this weird stuff comes back a lot of times to 4 valves per cylinder, 2 exhaust and 2 intake. And you can get more. But one of the weird things I was reading about that is that the area between the valves, the exhaust valves, gets unusually hot. So that's crazy because normally you have a single valve and the exhaust gases flow out. Well, now you've got a spot in between 2 valves where exhaust gases are hitting and being pushed around it, making it hotter than usual. And Harley dealt with that by running water through that little section. That's kind of cool.
They got a little, because we were looking at a breakdown. Sorry guys, I'm just playing this real quick if you hear that in the background. And see, I'm turning mine sideways for the live.
Nothing.
Still, I can't get it. But I really think, wish we had time. I think it's because I'm signed into my own account and I'm the one streaming. And so we have to try it on yours. But yeah, no, they did. They rechanneled a whole bunch of stuff to cool that down. And that was, while we're on that topic, one of the big things is they really wanted to, from the way I look at things, is they wanted, of course, they have to have an efficient motor for all the regulations.
Right.
But they really were working on heat.
Yes.
In a lot of ways. So a lot of these things are also that we're going to talk about are going to cut down heat.
Trying to reduce the overall heat.
Yes.
Right. Because it's still mostly air cooled.
Right. And you're right. Even though it's water cooled, you're right.
It's mostly air cooled. And I rode LD's bike the other day, and I just rode from his house to my house,
and he's got a CVO 110.
And I just rode it from his house to my house to do an oil change on it. And I got to my house. That's 2 miles maybe. No, I didn't really let it sit and warm up, and it got really, really hot, like a lot hotter than my 103.
Right.
So the bigger you go with the displacement, you have to control heat somehow.
Right.
And because they're not doing total water cooling, then they have to try and figure out other ways to get rid of the heat. So having 2 exhaust valves and pushing more exhaust gas out helps. But they raise compression, which increases heat.
Right. So it's a
trade-off,
battle,
right?
Right. Yeah.
It's a trade-off. But higher compression is always, they didn't go too crazy high. So if you get stuck somewhere with 87 or 89 octane, your bike's not going to blow up. But you get a little bit better compression, you get a little more efficiency, which also reduces emissions. Which is really the goal of this whole thing, is to reduce emissions.
Which sucks. I mean, I say that in a way that they're pushed to, because they could make a there's so many more things you could do if you didn't have to worry about emissions.
Right.
Their engineers are really stifled to a certain extent by trying to keep, because they can't put a motor, they won't even let them put a motor out that doesn't meet.
It has to meet, and which kills me because my motorcycle puts out 10 times less emissions than my wife's Honda Pilot.
Right.
It gets better fuel economy, but they are smacking Harley-Davidson down. You rarely hear about Kawasaki or Honda.
Totally, dude.
There, and there's the same stuff out there for them, and I've never seen Kawasaki get smacked down for selling tuners or whatever. But
I know they just, we won't get into that talk.
Yeah.
But Harley, they're trying to nail them for their super tune. It's like everything. It's like Apple, right? Everybody's after Apple because they're the leader. Everybody's after Harley. That we support all bikes here, guys. I just want you to know that. We have guys that ride a Victory here. We ride with guys with metric bikes. I'm just saying, technically, Harley-Davidson is still the big name in the motorcycle industry. And
it will be for a long time.
It will be for a long time. And so, of course, always the top dog. Everybody just starts trying to pick at them to bring them down. It's a competition,
Yep.
So
So 4 valves. That's the biggest, most important change to start with.
Yes.
But the combustion chamber. So, and the notes are awesome. Like I read these same articles, and I was just in my head, and I read your notes. I'm like, oh, it all came rushing back.
Good.
So the Hemi
head, right?
The Hemi head. This is something that guys don't understand, and it took me a while to figure out. But when you have a Hemi head, all right. Sometimes I think too far ahead. The Hemi head. So you have a certain volume in the combustion chamber. In order to increase compression, you decrease the volume. So Harley was making what's called a domed piston. So if you did a upgrade, like, I don't know, you could do, there's all the stage upgrades or whatever. One of them included dome pistons to take your compression from, like, on my old 06, I could, like the 95 kit with heads would have gone from a 8.9 to 1 to 11 to 1. Increased compression increases power, increases efficiency. It's a good thing usually, but then you got to use high octane gas. So Harley, 4 valves, flat cylinder heads. So they're not hemispheric anymore. They're flatter. So they've reduced the overall combustion chamber volume. They've made the pistons bigger.
They've increased the combustion chamber.
No, they made it smaller.
Smaller. Okay.
It's because it's flat.
You're
so
right.
You can't use a dome piston anymore. I
got you. I'm tracking.
So that's cool because it raised compression. I think one article said 10.5 to 1. One article I read said 10. 10.5 to 1 is a good moderate compression increase that you could still use an 89 octane and with the knock sensor, you'd probably be okay. If you get stuck somewhere with less than 91 octane.
We are going to talk about the knock sensor. I'm glad you brought that up.
That's a real important deal.
I got to make some notes here, damn it.
So one of the things when I was reading that, I'm like, okay, so so I'm speculating here. This is only from my own head. Lots of garbage flows from there. But how are we going to increase compression if we want to? Instead of just a pistons and cylinders, we're going to have to buy new heads. Because on the old setup, on the twin cams, the way you increase compression is to buy domed pistons. Well, now maybe they're going to make some kind of intermediate dome. I don't know. But since it's a more flat combustion chamber, it's relatively confined to flat top pistons because there's no hemispheric dome at the top.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm like, is that a limitation, or is Harley going to make an off-road kit where they have some kind of modified dome? I don't know. But the cool thing is, really, for a functional street bike, it's coming off the line pretty well equipped.
Yeah.
Which is cool. So 4 valves, flat combustion chamber, big exhaust valves. That's awesome. Let's
talk about this, and then I want to cover a couple things. What's your first impression looking at it? A lot of guys are saying, to me, it's a sexy looking motor. But
I like
if you're a motorhead, it kind of looks like a lot of guys are comparing it to the old knucklehead. It has somewhat of a knucklehead look, and so I've read a lot of articles that some guys are saying it looks similar to that, which was one of, their motor back in the day. I mean, one of the most popular motors of all times, you know, the old knucklehead. But that's what some guys are saying. I just thought your thoughts.
I didn't look at it really that much.
What the hell?
Well, when I looked at it, I thought, where are all the push rods? That's what I really looked at. Like,
okay. Should we pull up a picture of this thing?
I read an article, a guy was talking about the look of the heads, and I'm like, the heads look really cool, but I didn't look at the overall motor, like the aesthetics of it. I was looking at the way it was designed. Right.
I'm seeing if I can pull a full picture of it, but looks like we're going to have splits. But all right. So it's cool. And they want it to look that way. You know, when you listen to Harley-Davidson, they wanted it to be mechanical looking. They want it to be, you know, sexy and more of it seen outside the bike as more of a showpiece on the bike. You know, they wanted to bring attention to that motor for their bike. And obviously that has to do with a lot of marketing. You know, Harley-Davidson, the thing is, you know, overall, I'll say what they were trying to do is Harley, and again, we support all bikes here. So this is just a Harley episode. I ride Harleys. That's what I'm most familiar with. But Harley-Davidson is very unique compared to all their bikes. That's why they sell. It's a niche, and if you want the feel and the history, and they do have a different feel and they do have a different sound, and guys don't want to lose that. Harley owners, we don't want to lose that. We want that still that Harley feel, but it's a double-edged sword because we also want
some comfort
and newer, maybe less of this vibration or less of this, but we still want it to sound like a Harley. And the thing about Harley-Davidson is they get that.
Yeah, they did. They really did a lot of work on that.
They did. Their engineers get that. And so that's what their design team set out to do is, okay, guys are bitching about heat still.
Yeah,
we got to get rid of some of this heat on their legs. So what are we going to do? Guys want more power. Okay, what are we going to do there? We still got to stay within emissions. We got to be careful there. You know, we want it to look Harley. We don't want to just take like a lot of bikes and strap a big ass car radiator on the front and call it a water cooled bike. Any engineer can do that. I hate that. And I'm glad Harley hasn't done that. Besides the V-Rod, you know, but let's just take a bike and strap a big fucking car radiator on the front. Oh, our bike's water cooled. Well, it looks like shit to me. And I'm just saying that. That's just me.
I agree.
So
I totally agree.
They're trying to do the modern comforts and customer demands of some of the things that customers want and make it more appealing to even more with the race of staying in business and, you know, selling bikes, but yet not losing. And it didn't. Everybody says it did not. The essence of what Harley-Davidson is.
And maybe
because there is an essence there. You buy a Harley for a very specific, you want a Harley because it's different than everything else out there.
And maybe 20 years from now, emissions will be such that Harley will finally, but they have done a good job of compromising those things. And that's tough because emissions is tough, and, you know, rider surveys and trying to get at what riders want based on what they're telling you and how they feel about their bike. Cause they're not telling you, hey, this bike has, 82 horse. I want 86 horse and I want 107 foot-pounds of torque. Well, that's pretty easy. But like, no, I bought a Harley cause I want to feel the bike.
People still want to feel it.
Shit, what does that mean? But they did a lot of marketing surveys and they brought people in and rode bikes, and I'm like, that's really cool.
Like 1,000 people or something.
Yeah. And they got to it in a lot of ways. So
they did.
It's a totally new design, so we'll see. But
because like we say, they could throw a big car radiator in the front, make it a brand new engine with all and it would not feel or look like a Harley anymore. And there you lose the Harley-Davidson brand.
Nope. And what I really like is they didn't just, we need to keep upping displacement. Kawasaki did that. The Vulcan 2000 went nowhere.
Right.
In the early mid 2000s. Like people were like, okay. We don't care. Let's go to, 10,000 cc's. Well, that's stupid.
Right.
That's not really what we're out.
Right.
You know that what Boss Haas has been around forever, and you don't see too many of them for a reason because they get too heavy.
Correct.
They're too big and too heavy. So I like that Harley went a little bit
bigger. I'll get
a
car if I want that.
If I want a V8, a 350, it goes on my truck.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So they didn't just go bigger, they went new.
Yes.
And better, not just bigger, because as we saw from the 88 to the 96, why would you buy a 96 when you could just buy an 88 and spend a couple grand and make it better than the 96? Right. But the 96, the 103 was better than the 96, but the 110, I don't know if it's that much better than the 103.
Right.
107. Good job.
Yeah.
Way to go, Harley. I like that a lot. And so where do we go? So we got valves.
Let's talk here. Let me read through this real quick. Cooler operation is the goal. Less combustion heat is picked up by the shallower 4-valve combustion chamber, and more heat is dissipated by large area head cooling fins. Note the dual spark plugs. We'll talk about those in a bit, and short exhaust port. Therefore, the new 8-valve engine abandons the large surface area of the traditional deep modified Hemi 2-valve combustion chamber and puts it in its place an almost flat chamber of minimum surface area with 4 valves. A true Hemi chamber is exactly twice the surface area of a flat chamber. And to achieve the higher compression ratios needed to make strong torque, a piston in a Hemi chamber may need a dome. We talked a little bit about this, that increases the surface as well. Let's go to this. Another way to take up less heat from combustion is to speed it up, exposing heads and pistons to flame for shorter time. Faster combustion from 2 spark plugs per cylinder is one element used in the Milwaukee-Eight to achieve this, but a second is invisible. Thousands of hours of flow and combustion simulation studies. One of the engineers said that ignition timing in this cooler running engine is more advanced, quote, more of the time, suggesting in the past systems intended to keep the engine safe from heat effects, such as detonation from the advanced spark timing, were intervening frequently, resulting in some loss of performance. The irony of understanding the timing to keep the engine safe from detonation is often more heat. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense to the audience.
Once you're retarded, you can never unretard.
Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Which is your problem, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it has been since I was born, but it's fine. Yes, that is okay. So we have talked about that in other episodes about the NOx sensor and why you use 80 or 91 octane gas and octane boost, because you won't know if you're using crappy gas or whatever that you don't know the octanes. You won't know the NOx sensors engaging, but it'll ruin your fuel economy and your power because it's retarding the timing. So, and we've talked about, I think we had a deal on ignition timing and stuff. Basically, retarded or advanced timing is the computer telling the spark plug when to fire. So advanced timing means the spark plug is firing later on the compression upstroke, and retarded means it's firing earlier.
Then earlier before the fuel and air get in there?
No.
Okay.
It's all relative to where the piston is at the top or bottom of the stroke. So I like the full stroke. I do love the full stroke.
I'm just saying.
So if you're retarded, you don't get the full stroke.
Right.
I'm sorry. It's the other way. Advanced is when the piston. Sometimes I have a hard time wrapping my head around this. When you advance the timing, it fires sooner, so the piston is still lower. When you retard
it fires
the
before
timing,
it's at the top.
Well, they all fire before it's at the top,
right? But
when before it reaches the top is
correct.
When. So the later it fires, the closer to the top it fires, the less heat is created because the piston then is already traveling down at a certain point. Mm-hmm. And so if you fire it a little sooner, you get knock because the piston is still on the compression stroke on the way up.
Right.
And so if it fires too soon, it causes an explosion to happen when the piston is traveling up.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to happen right as the piston crests and starts to travel down.
Okay.
Pushing the piston down.
Right. So it's already using momentum to knock it down.
Exactly.
Right.
So there's, there's minute differences that make a big deal. Well, when that knock sensor starts to engage, you don't know. And your power's down and your fuel economy's down. So the fuel air mixture burn with spark is a predictable event that has a certain time to it. Well, by adding 2 spark plugs, then you can advance the timing because that fuel air mixture spark burn faster with 2 plugs because you're introducing more fire.
Fire, right. Fire.
Yeah, I love fire.
Fire.
Ain't you them too? Oh, sorry. We digressed. We had to get off topic a little bit. So that's cool. I mean, dual spark plug has been used for a long time in various applications. Mm-hmm. It comes and goes, but high compression. So the higher compression, higher heat, which means the air fuel mixture is more volatile. You add 2 spark plugs, which increases the fire. Pow, boom,
pow.
Good. Wait a minute. That was for you, Lurch. Sorry, I had to cough a little bit.
Love it, dude.
So sweet. It just means we have to spend more money on spark plugs, but
right.
Whatever.
But every like 50,000.
Whatever. Yeah.
I think that new bike, it's like, it says like one at 50,000 or something. So whatever.
You use Iridium plugs or whatever, and they'll go forever.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's awesome. Two spark plugs.
Now, we didn't mention, too, that this is coming in the 107. Of course, it's also the new CVO models. So the 107 is standard, replacing the 103 in your touring, and then the 114 will replace your 110 and your CVO models. So 107 and 114 now, right?
Yes, and I also read they're going to keep an enhanced 103. So I don't know what that means.
Interesting.
For the smaller bikes. But I didn't click on the link that talked about that because I was reading about the 107 and the 114. But
I didn't know that. An enhanced 103 for your regular soft tails and Dynas.
Right.
Oh.
So that's kind of cool. I don't know what that is yet, and I'll have to read about it. But okay, so valves.
Let's talk this real quick. If you guys were curious, because some guys are, it comes in 3 options, 2 displacements. So there's an oil-cooled. So like your Street Glide and your Road Glide are going to have the 107 oil-cooled. They're not going to be water-cooled. And you're like, ultra limiteds and all that with the full lower fairings are going to have the radiators are going to be water and oil cooled. They're called twin cooled 107 cubic inches. So the oil cooled basic 107 CI cubic inch is 1750 cc. That's up. If you want to compare that to my 103 that I'm running now is about 1695 cc, something in there.
Right.
The twin cooled. Okay. Then there'll be the twin cooled 107 and the twin cooled 114. So the 107 cubic inch is 1750 cc. The 114 cubic inch is 1870 cc. If you like the cc breakdown.
If you like metric.
If you like metric. I prefer the cubic inch, but I know some guys like to hear that, and it gets asked a lot. You know, people that don't know Harleys on the street, how many cc is that? It's a cubic inch bike, bro.
Yeah.
But
you know, and I also have a cubic inch.
Right, yeah.
By which I use to measure many things.
Right.
Many things.
Yeah, you ain't measuring nothing, dude.
It's different getting off track during the daytime.
It is different.
It's not quite as easy. We're more focused.
Well, especially on this, because there's just so much tech or, information to get out there. So
But there's also a lot of crude jokes we could be making.
Oh,
now.
God, we could go off on this, and then our episode would go 3 hours for sure. There is a lot of crude
we
jokes.
never finish.
We got off on stroking already.
And then now we're going to talk about the single cam.
Cubic inches. This is a huge.
It is a big deal.
Why don't you talk about this? Because this is, I would say, significantly there's a lot of changes, but significant is the 8 valve or the 4 valves per cylinder. The other, to me, significant change is the single cam driven engine.
Crank based cam.
Right.
Yes.
And before, just so you guys know, it's twin cam. Your 103, your 96, your 88, right?
Yep.
All twin cams.
Evo. Single cam.
Yeah. Interesting. I made a note in there somewhere. The Evo, a lot of people forget they did toy with that in the Evo with the single cam. So why don't you talk about the single cam and what that does for us and what they were trying to accomplish? Is it a good idea?
Well, and so I had some questions.
It's a 4-lobe.
Yeah.
Of course.
I never got answered, and maybe they'll come back to me. But one of the things we often forget, is emissions is also regulates noise, the noise of the motor.
Yes.
And so Harley's deal was the twin cam was a noisy 2 chains.
Very mechanical sounding motor.
And so,
which we love to a certain extent. Again, this is what they're toying with, right? Harley trying to please everybody.
Right, exactly. So you go back to a single cam. First of all, you take one cam away, so you just eliminate noise that way. Then you have the
less mechanical, less moving parts, right?
Right, exactly. So, other than that, it reduces. The only other thing I could think of is that it's going to reduce some size in the lower end, making it a little slimmer at the bottom because you don't have the room for 2 cams. You just need room for 1 cam. And the 1 cam 4-lobe design is common in pushrod cars and trucks. I mean, it's not a big deal. And those guys have those camshafts in the cars and trucks are huge. So the technology's been there. It's not hard to make. But I think that the thing was, it was all about noise and that kind of mechanical sound. And so I don't know. I didn't get into the engineering of cams that much to know if the single was better than the twin because a lot of cars have dual overhead cams.
Right. Dual overhead cams is big in the auto industry.
And so, and those aren't using any, well, they're chain driven.
Right.
There comes some slop with push rods because energy is transferred from a lifter to a push rod to a valve. So dual overhead. So why didn't Harley go to a dual? My lawnmower has an overhead.
I always wondered that, but I'm not the engineer. I'm far from the engineer.
Yeah, right. And it may not make sense in motorcycles because how the heads are set up, they're smaller.
Correct.
So
You'd have frame issues and
you may
top end issues.
And it makes the bike heavier up top.
Right, true
which makes it hard to balance. But single cam, 4-lobe.
4-lobe single cam, which is supposed to so let's do this. With the twin cam, the change was required to help reduce the angles on the push rods. So they had to go to the single cam to reduce with the twin cam, the change was required. So with the twin cam, they were helping reducing the angles on the push rods.
From the Evo to the twin cam,
right?
They had higher valve lifts.
Okay.
So they went to 2 cams so you can reduce and I don't know if Yannick
right, because it reduces the angles because you got 2 cams out here.
Right.
With 1 cam, you got to bring everything in. If everybody can see you got to
look over it's over there.
So
they're high.
You got to go with the single cam. You got more angle on your push rods. Right, makes sense.
Yep. And so apparently with this new motor, the single cam is okay that way. Cam technology's come a ways too since the Evo, since the 90s.
Right. Yeah. And like you say, they use them in wide applications outside the motorcycle industry. This is a new technology.
No.
This is just
something different.
The current modeling technology has allowed for the single cam to return, bringing with it multiple advantages. Less parasitic power losses, less complexity, and less mechanical noise, one of the engine's primary design goals. So that was one, just like you said, they were trying to bring down noise, and you're right. That is part of people don't know that. They actually, they look at the noise of not only the exhaust, but the
motor
engine mechanical noise coming from, it's just that's
getting
overkill.
Yeah, that's getting crazy. Come
me.
on. Some ladies out there with something right by the cam, and I'm like, really, you're measuring the noise of the cam chain?
Right.
That's just totally ridiculous.
That is ridiculous and
still chained. So the chain must have some economical advantage because
where are you looking at? Oh yeah, it's a chain-driven cam still.
Chain.
Right? Instead of gear,
they are not the most effective. Gear's more effective.
The thing is, you can go put a gear-driven cam. There's tons of aftermarket. Harley makes their own gear-driven cam, but they still do production bikes with a chain-driven.
It must be. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Other than, I don't know. I really don't.
I don't either. I can't figure it out.
Yeah, I went to gear-driven in my 06 and I loved it.
Yeah.
And you pick up horsepower and torque just by having gear-driven versus a chain because the chain slowly loses.
It can't be a cost issue.
It has to be. The chain must be cheaper.
You think it's just a cost issue? Because you build this beautiful. I just don't understand. You do have still a auto tensioner. It's a hydraulic auto chain tensioner. So, they've figured those out over the years and they're doing really good.
They're better, but they still fail.
Right.
But you don't need that.
And then when they fail, you put in a gear-driven cam. It's like, just put the damn.
I don't know what the hell.
But I still think that whatever, dude, and every company does it, and Harley's no better at it. I think they still leave a lot of those things because Harley makes a shitload of their money off aftermarket upgrades.
True.
And that's an easy money maker for them. Hey, look, you need a gear-driven cam. It's upgraded. You'll get more horsepower, right?
Yeah.
They already make the Stage 3 kit for the new Harley 107. Look, we built a brand new motor, but here's another $2,000 kit for you.
Yeah, got to do it.
So I think it has a lot they can't do everything because then you wouldn't spend any money upgrading. That's a big part of Harley industry is the upgrades, right? Like you've said in the past, who goes and buys a bike and then immediately dumps $3,000-$4,000 in it and exhaust and intakes and Harley riders do.
Yeah, we do.
It's
like the thing.
That's the industry.
It is really the industry.
All the aftermarket parts and all the companies, dude. So I have to believe that has something to do with it.
There's still a company, a company in America to make profit.
Correct.
That's what they exist for. So I think it could be both.
Right.
It's a little bit cheaper at the chain because
cheaper.
Cars use chains.
Right.
A lot of chain-driven cams. So that's not a big deal, but production maybe a little cheaper. And because you look at like a cam kit, like an S&S cam kit, chain-driven, just a direct replacement, but bigger cams or whatever.
Right.
Is it like $400? But if you go to the S&S gear-driven kit, it's like $800. So there's some cost associated with it. So
right. Yeah.
I don't know, but still using a chain-driven cam.
Single chain-driven cam, guys.
Okay, whatever.
I like it.
That's the only thing that pisses me off a little bit, but okay.
I was surprised to see it too when they were doing cutaways of the motor. I was like, hey, you gotta be, because everything else is like amazingly new and you're like, chain. Okay. All right. Whatever. I'm cool. It works, guys. And
it does work. It's fine.
They've redesigned them and it's definitely become very, for them, a very, what's the word I'm looking for? A stable piece of the Harley motor.
Sure.
They've worked out the shoe,
Yeah.
the tensioner shoes and all the issues, and it's pretty. You don't have to replace them.
Right.
They can go forever now.
Right.
Major intake, overall airflow capacity of the 8 valve is 50% greater than that of previous engines, and the throttle body now has a 55 millimeter bore. We talked about that. So a bigger bore, room for growth. A free-flowing intake airbox is engineered for low noise and to intrude less on the rider's ergonomic space.
Oh, get out of my ergonomics, buddy.
Some people, get off my loins.
Oh man, my loins are for me.
Oh yeah, you stay off my.
Well, my loins are for Brenda. Brenda, never mind. Sorry.
One for Oscar.
We got off track. I couldn't help it.
But yeah, so that's anything else about that? We got to move on.
Nope.
Okay. They still have hydraulic lifters, right, Oscar?
Yes.
Talk about this.
Yeah, hydraulic lifters, no adjusting the valves because that's
cool.
hydraulic. That's great.
Hydraulic lifters remove the need to. You never have to adjust your valves again. They're good for the life of the engine. They actually wear exactly the same. I was listening to one of the engineers.
Yeah, they're great. My freaking truck has
right
I don't know, it has to adjust the valves. Our 2014 Honda needs a valve adjustment. Like, that's stupid.
Right, and they've had hydraulic, like you
for
said,
a long time.
The Harleys have. The 103, the 88, right, 96, yeah. So they stuck with it, which is good.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah. So, all right. We talked about water-cooled, the full touring models. Of course, the reason is they have to put those radiators in those lower fairings on the ones that wrap around your engine guards. It's not 100% reliant on water cooling. It's still, like Oscar mentioned, it still requires those fins, and it's highly air-cooled still.
Yep.
But the water helps, and oil, of course, the twin-cooled.
Right. Big 114 needs something. You can't keep that air cooled. It would melt. It would melt in Las Vegas.
Yes. So, so still, and again, the street glides and the road glides are just going to be oiled cooler, but that system's even been upped, and they've got the channels. And the channels, the way I understand it, kind of run around the valves.
They run around the exhaust
heads.
valves.
It's just the heads,
yes.
the exhaust valves.
And then they focus on the exhaust valves because obviously that's what gets the hottest. That's the hottest part of the head is around the exhaust valves.
Dual spray injectors.
I don't even want to.
But that
we
sounds
can get so
awesome.
far off track with that.
So far off track. Dual spray, dude.
All you need to know about dual spray injectors is that it causes you to have kids.
Right.
So if you don't want to have any more kids, don't get dual spray injectors.
That's right. Don't dual spray.
I'll have to be honest, I did not really look into that too much.
I didn't. I just wanted to mention it.
Yeah, it's not uncommon in the automotive world.
It just sounds badass.
Oh, yeah. I got the newest dual spray injectors.
Here we go. The new Milwaukee 107. Yeah, the new Milwaukee-Eight. 107 cubic inch dual spray injectors. Single cam.
Injectors.
4 lobe. It all sounds cool, dude.
With your dual spray injectors near 4 lobes, you are freaking ready to rock.
It has a anti-backlash transmission gear. I don't really know that much about that. I didn't research it too much, but
I didn't either.
I wanted to note it. So talk about this. Bigger motor, more oil.
Yeah.
More AMS oil.
Oh, yeah, more AMS oil.
AMS oil is probably really happy.
Oh, wow.
And our AMS oil dealers like Oscar over here, like
jumping up and down.
Sweet.
Oh, yeah. I didn't get any sleep last night because I was like
4.5 quarts now from the 4 quarts that is required in a 103. So
yes,
Oscar per oil change is going to sell a half a quart more, and he's going to be rich.
Oh, wow. I'm going to be rolling in the dumb and have 4 new bikes next week.
So here's interesting. They lowered the idle speed.
Yeah. Hey, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Talk about it.
Well,
and they talked about this, right? And let me bring this to light. We talked about a little bit again, Harley trying to meet the demands of customers, but still give a Harley feel. People like Harleys because they can feel the motor.
You're right.
I've ridden other bikes. I want to feel the motor still, but I don't need it to rattle my arms off. And it doesn't in the 103. I thought the 103 is like crazy nice, and same with the 96, but some people didn't like that much. But Harley's like, we're going to get rid of some of it, but we can't get rid of all of it. So the lower idle speed, less shaking was part of it, right?
The big gigantic pistons are moving a little bit slower. Now there's a balance because if they move too slow, you get more shaking.
Then you're
yeah, exactly, and it's even worse.
And it's trying to run.
Move too fast, then obviously it creates a crap load of heat. So yeah, they bumped it down just a little bit.
From what?
From 1,000 to 850.
Okay.
And that's going to help out with the vibration.
That's going to be weird because I'm so used to my Harley running at 1,000 RPM.
Yeah, right.
It's going to look weird at first.
Yeah, it will a little bit, but I think it'll be okay.
Yeah. Not that I have one.
You're going to get one.
Or that I can afford one, but I'm going to go test ride one just so I can talk about a little bit more to the audience and my thoughts, and I'll probably do a video and vlog and article and stuff when I get a chance. But
they actually tried to get rid of the vibration completely, and their survey people said no.
Do not do that.
You got to reduce it a little bit, but we like it.
We like it.
Yeah.
I do. I need to feel my motor. I'm very mechanical like you, and I just want to feel my motor.
I can't stop
vibrating on my loins, dude.
Well, it was like episode 20 when we're in the closet and everyone's drinking, and we could just get off track every 2 seconds. We had no real focus.
Correct. I know. Look at us, dude.
We can't get off track at all.
So for the first time in a rubber-mounted big twin, a single counter-rotating internal balancer is used to cancel 75% of the engine's primary shaking force. When an engine with complete vibration cancellation was tested, riders rejected it. Yep. Some vibration is an essential element of Harley's very unique feel. Riders of long ago accepted lots of raw vibration, but most riders today do not. And Harley-Davidson here appears to be satisfying the faithful customer with some of the shake they love, while also smoothing the engine to the degree that it will attract new customers with an increased level of refinement. Heavy vibration is tiring.
Right.
So long-distance riders want engine smoothness, but still want the drama of handlebars shaking at idle and the relationship with the moving parts. I couldn't say it better myself. What we've been talking about, that fine balance between pleasing people, but not losing Harley-Davidson's identity, and why people buy Harley-Davidsons.
They're not selling out. Good for you, Harley. Way to go.
I appreciate it very much. The catalytic converter in the pipes has been moved back further. Less heat on the rider's legs. That was a big complaint since they started implementing catalytic converters in the pipes. They're required to do that. Exhaust temperatures, I couldn't believe this figure. Exhaust temperatures are 100 degrees less, Oscar.
It gets really, that's really a big deal.
Really? It seems like a lot.
In the diesel world, little changes to the motor can reduce exhaust gas temps by a lot.
That is. So 100 degrees less temperature, and the cats are moved back, so it's not going to be right on your, we keep bringing up loins, but there was a lot of heat on the loins, dude, and the back of the thighs.
Stoplight in Phoenix, in the middle of the summer, and and you get sweaty loins. That sucks. Yeah,
we got some good chat. Thanks, guys, live. I'm looking in here. I like twin Riode. I like the motor, but I think the EVO and my 59 Ironhead was more of a true Harley. HD slowly getting away from their signature sound and feel. That's an interesting point, because a lot of people tested it and they said it doesn't sound any different. It has the unique Harley sound, and they haven't got
45 degree.
Right. It's the V-twin 45 degree, right?
That's a big part of it.
Right. And so I agree. I don't want them to get away from that. I think they're very careful not to do that. And in fact, everybody that has ridden this bike and heard it, it sounds just like the Harley you expect.
We have to accept that they are responding to market forces. They are a company that's producing a product to make money.
Right.
And if they keep the bike of the 50s, no one's going to buy it, and they're going to go out of business. So they're slowly morphing to meet market demand. What's the word for it? The generation, or who is riding motorcycles now, is different than it was 30 years ago. So I give them a lot of credit for keeping some of the heart of Harley, but still making a profitable company, because that's what they have to do. If
otherwise, we're not going to be riding Harleys.
We'll be riding Indians or Victories or whatever, and so good for them. And that's going to continue. So as much as there's a lot of guys out there that love that traditional Harley, that sorry, it sucks, but it's going to slowly morph away from that, because they have to. One, they have to meet emissions. Two, they have to meet market influences, and there's nothing we can do about it. It's like everything else.
Yep.
So
very true. Just some good comments. Thanks for being involved in the chat room, live audience. Yep. We're doing it live. And some people, Matt Wright says the 103 was perfect feel, in my opinion. I agree. I love the 103.
Yeah, I really do too.
It's an awesome motor.
It is.
Mobile blowback, not sure where I put that, but small details are important. In the past, if the oil was overfilled, we all know that excessive oil could wet the air filter. It would blow back in the crank breathers into the crank breather. Now that has been rerouted through the transmission case, so no more air filter blowback. It blows back into the transmission case.
I don't know. That's not good. In my opinion,
really?
That's not good.
See, I thought that was awesome. See, that's great. What's not good about it?
Because I've seen mechanics just grossly overfill the oil sump, and so if you overfill it by a half quart and it blows into the transmission,
you're never getting rid of it. That was the thing of it going in the filter, right?
Well, right. Now it's just going to fill up the transmission,
right? And then it's going to overfill the transmission.
That doesn't.
Interesting. See, I didn't even think about it. I was like, oh, sweet, no more blowback in my air filter.
Yeah, and that's cool. But I've seen, like, I did it. I think, I don't know if it was a Baker's bike. I did an oil change where I overfilled it a little bit, and then I saw it and like dripping on the. That's what it does. It'll go through the filter enough, drip onto the top of the. Well, for crying out loud, on the motor, you can see it sitting there. I'm like, oh, I overfilled it. Oh, no big deal. That's no big deal. It just blows out into the environment. It's a pain in the ass, soaks your air filter. But if it's blowing back into a sealed.
Right, I get it. I get it. You bring a good point, dude.
And when they talk about filling the transmission and ounces, they're not talking about gallons. So ounces matter. So over the course of a 5,000 mile oil change, if you blow 3 or 4 ounces into the transmission, what's going to,
right.
So Harley must have dealt with that, but I did not read how they dealt with that so maybe it doesn't matter.
I didn't dig any deeper than that.
Because
so
the transmission interval service is way longer than the oil.
Maybe the transmission then has some kind of, but who knows?
They vent too, but they don't vent oil out. It's not going to push any oil out. So I don't know. I didn't like that, but I can't. Seeing what they did, I can't imagine they overlooked that.
Right? No,
they just didn't. They didn't put out what they did with it.
Correct. So we rerouted it here, and it's all good now. And
yeah,
they
just
did
trust
something.
us.
We'll have to look into that more.
Yeah,
that's funny. Dave Dija. My 110 shakes like a dog shitting razor blades, and I love it. He's in the chat room. I love it, dude.
Dog shitting razor blades.
That's funny.
I love that. Yeah, Robbie's bike gets a little shake, rattle, and roll going on. I'm like, it's different than
the 110 CVO.
Yeah, yep.
Same with the Dyna Lowrider S 2016 we have in the garage for a little while down there.
Right.
Yeah, it's fast on that.
Oh,
bike.
yeah, I bet.
All right. Let's keep going, and we'll get her done here. And front suspension is new, guys. I know we're talking about the motor, but they did make a few changes to the 2017s overall. In the front, they developed a unique solution with Showa to decrease weight over a cartridge system, improve high-speed stability, and low-speed ride quality. The new Showa forks, in particular, are a significant improvement in the area of dampening, soaking up pavement irregularities with less drama, and transmitting much less renaissance through the bars.
So it's dampening the vibration a little bit.
Yes, and
to your hands.
Right. Yes,
which is
exactly.
kind of cool, I guess.
The new 45 millimeter fork feature a dual bending valve fork technology to accomplish this, with encases variable chambers within the shock separated by a thin washer. As movement pushes the dampering fluid faster, it moves the washer, opening up a secondary chamber, allowing more fluid movement, which allows more range of motion at slow speeds. And with washer not moving, the fluid doesn't move as much, so ride is more composed. That's cool. You know, if you want to get into that. And they did rear suspension too. No more air, guys. They're doing away with the air shocks, and I am very happy.
Yeah, those air shocks are a pain in the ass.
They're a pain in the ass, and they don't ride as good as the new suspension like I have on my 2014 Street Glide Special. I have what they're putting on, basically.
Preload shocks,
and they've got adjustment knob right there. It's super simple. No tools required. You click it. I have a video on it, guys. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com. Use the search bar. Search for Harley suspension. I show you how to adjust those and get them. In the rear, new emotion shocks are added that we have seen sprinkled throughout the Sportster and Cruiser models. They increase ride quality, increase preload capacity by 30%, and only need one hand adjustment needed instead of the air system on previous models and the air pumps and all that crap. And they just, I'll tell you, they ride better. Yeah. That's my opinion.
That air thing pisses me off.
Oh, God.
It's just stupid.
It was just, I mean, I get it. Air. Oh, it sounded so cool when they developed an air ride. Yeah. It's got to be so soft and, dude.
In a mechanical air ride, it's cool. When you say set this at 10 PSI and a compressor is meeting or bleeding, pumping air in and out, something's doing it for you. In the high-end performance cars, it's great.
Right.
But not when I'm going to load this with 40 pounds and call it good.
And that's where it is.
That stays there no matter what I'm doing.
But it still sounds cool. Air ride. Our bikes have air ride.
But it leaks all.
I know. And they go bad and they leak. And we just replaced Popeye's because his were leaking. Yep. We put, I just did a video. It hasn't released yet, guys, but on Progressive 944 shocks we put on his bike.
Adjustable preload. Right?
Yeah, right. Adjustable preload. Yep, everything. So that video will be coming out as usual, coming at you guys with videos. So going again, we talked about that, 2 spark plugs per cylinder, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Many say, many are saying that have tested it. And I'm going to go test it. Many say much less mechanical noises from the motor, the valve train, lifters, etc. But it still sounds like that old Harley. And let's talk real quick about the anti-knock sensor on the heads. you talk, just give them briefly what that means for us. It's going to be an anti-knock sensor, and what does that do for us, really? It senses that it needs to adjust timing, right?
Yeah, and that's it. All it'll do is retard the timing, so that it's not firing as soon, not creating knock, and
it knows if it's going to knock, and it's like, okay.
It's ion. The old ones ours are ion.
I read that.
Ion sensing. The new ones I did not read. They're not ion sensing anymore. There's something else.
You're right. I read it too.
I was like, I'm not sure. I need to read more, but they're way more accurate, which means then that you can use more advanced timing with a little bit higher compression is way more efficient, which means you get more horsepower out of the same amount of fuel, which means you typically use less fuel, so you get better gas mileage. So they've made that more accurate, and thus you're going to have retarded timing less. It's great. Good for them. That whole combination of the motor.
Right.
I was like, man, it looks like they took into account everything.
They really did.
They thought this thing through. Like on the 88s were okay. They didn't think a lot of shit through.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff in the 88s that failed.
Well, and they kept doing it like they had been doing it, the old Harley, and people are going to buy them, and they're realizing, you got Victory coming out chasing their tail. You got Indian coming out chasing their tail. They can't just build what they want anymore, exactly how they want it. They have to, and they have to
actually meet it, and they're doing it. So just know that the knock sensor's new, it's more accurate, which is just only better for us riding these bikes.
Absolutely. And we just want to thank a couple people, and we'll keep going. We're almost done. Donations, guys. Of course, we love our patrons. We want you to become a patron because we want to see you in the private Facebook group, and we want to get to know you, but we never balk at a flat donation. That's right. Kevin Rose of Rockwall, Texas, asked a Boombot question on our contact form and left a donation for our time. We appreciate that because it takes us a lot of time to answer all your questions. Paul Giunta of Smithville, New Jersey. Omar Jones of Edmond, Oklahoma, again, after asking a question on our contact form, lawabidingbiker.com/donate. Get involved, guys. Take action. Help put a little fuel in the Law Abiding Biker gas tank so we can keep this thing heading on down the road, and we love that so much. All right, so here's the interesting. So we covered anti-knock sensors. So performance stats real quick, and we'll wind this thing down. 0 to 60, they say, this is coming from Harley, 10% more torque is available as soon as you want it, is what they're touting. From 0 to 60, they're saying, and this is straight from Harley, 2 to 3 bike lengths faster than the 103.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Put that in perspective. Is that good to you? I mean, it is for me when you're only going from a 103 to a 107 and all the advances. So
what are they, like 7 feet long or 6 feet long?
Right.
So that gives you 12 feet, maybe 18 feet. That's pretty good. I mean, that's all right. And you're going to get better fuel economy.
Right. Sorry, I'm laughing. NAFTA 0904 says, can I get anti-knock sensors at my front door? Yeah. And,
made by Remington.
Smith & Wesson. Made by Glock. It's called Glock 45.
Plastic pistols are for, never mind, princesses. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So you're right. So would you say better fuel economy?
And you get better fuel economy over the 103. So usually you go bigger. Fuel economy is the first thing to suffer. In this case, they're saying no.
No, they're saying it's right about the same.
It's the same, which is awesome because you get more power.
Correct. More power for the same fuel. Right.
Awesome.
2 to 3 bike lengths. Now, the roll-on power, and what we mean by that, guys, is your roll-on when you're doing like 60 miles an hour and you roll the throttle. That's called roll-on power. From 60 to 80, about 2 bike lengths ahead. Good. So they're keeping, that's not bad. So 0 to 60, 2 to 3 bike lengths. Roll-on 60 to 80. When you roll on the throttle, about 2 bike lengths. That gives you some perspective, and that is what Harley-Davidson is touting. Let's talk real quick about this. The transmission was also changed to suit the goal of achieving a wider spread of performance from a noise, comfort, and speed perspective. Again, bringing all those same things they did with the motor to the tranny. A hydraulic, of course, the new clutches. So I didn't dig into this, but I have to assume that all the touring are finally going hydraulic.
Duh.
Please. I'm trying to think. Did they did that? So the 103, we're all hydraulic now,
14.
Right? Yeah, 14 and on is all hydraulic.
Yeah.
So good.
So mine's the last year of the cable clutch, which needs adjustment and blah, 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 and cable stretch and blah, blah.
And we have all the videos on it for you guys on our site for free, how to adjust your cable clutches. You don't adjust a hydraulic. It is what it is, and I love hydraulic clutches. Mm-hmm. They're using a Brembo clutch, a balancer, and an anti-backlash gear, spring-loaded first gear, and a slimmer primary to increase smoothness, decrease noise. Clutch pull, they say, is 7% less. My 103, I love my clutch, and if it's 7% less, even better.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah, they that's the interesting thing. Not to get, I'm going to get off track briefly, is I can't believe Indian and Victory, and I love their Victory was Rick has one.
Yeah.
And it still uses all that technology, and they use a cable clutch. I'm like, are you serious?
Cost.
You got to get
Hydraulics
away
a little
from
more expensive, but
Yeah. You know what I mean? But for touting everything to compete with Harley, and then you throw out a cable clutch, I was like, why would you do that?
That one's perfect.
Yeah. All right. You can now, this is very cool. You can now take the heads off the engine without taking the engine out of the motorcycle.
A little easier to work on the top end.
Yeah, a little easier to work on the top end. That's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
I don't know how substantial that is to you personally, but I mean, to me, that's like labor
time. That'll save you an hour or two of labor.
Right.
So if you're paying, depending, anywhere from $75 to $125 an hour,
they'll still charge you for it.
And they just won't do it.
They just won't do it.
Well, no, now you'll know.
Now you'll know you did not have to take the engine out.
Yep.
Yeah. Charging system, real quick, they finally realized they have to do something with the charging system with all the electronics and the boombox system. Don't forget, lawabidingbiker.com/Harley Boombox, the #1 ranked best-selling boombox tutorial videos. That's right, guys. Helping bikers around the world, guys. Seriously, I answer questions daily, and people love those videos. It is a rather cumbersome system to use, but you want to make sure it is capable of a lot of things that people don't know about. And I show you those things and how to get to them and all the hidden menus. The big new external rotor, 18-pole alternator, makes plenty of juice at lower 850 RPM idle.
Right.
Canal, okay, so let's talk about, we talked about gas mileage. It's pretty much in line with the 103.
Yeah. One thing I never saw, are they going to still do the stage 1 download?
Good question. Well, I'm sure you can put new air intake on it and new pipes, and you're doing the stage 1. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I didn't see whether they're going to continue that. I'm sure they have to.
Dude, that is such a huge money maker for them.
Yeah.
Do not do the stage 1 download, guys. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/Power Vision or /Fuel Pack 3 or /Power Commander 5. We have all the videos for you.
Lots of stuff.
Get an aftermarket aftermarket EFI tuner, guys.
I didn't even research that. So for those of you that bought the 17 with the Milwaukee-Eight, I don't know if that stuff's out yet. Like, how soon does Harley release that? Or how soon does DynoJet know that this is it? Because now it's a totally different thing.
Right.
With the NOx sensor changed, that is going to matter how DynoJet maps the fuel injection. So
they were already doing dynos on them. There's a couple videos out there.
It's got to be, I don't know. So it may not be available yet.
Maybe not.
So maybe you wait.
So you're saying the NOx sensors are going to make it harder to, or there's going to have to be extra things taken into account by the EFI tuner.
It's just different.
As a NOx sensor.
Yeah, because more accurate.
Right.
So you can make it more advanced. So they're going to have to play with the parameters of how more advanced they can make it compared to what Harley's already done.
Right.
So there's some, it's not just going bigger displacement and volumetric efficiency. There's some things have changed that
you're right.
is going to change tuning. I don't know. So if you bought a 17, I would probably do nothing right now.
Right, I would wait for everybody to catch up. I would just ride the piss out of it.
Yep,
and
exactly.
And then as the market catches up and we have new EFI information, EFI tuner information, and people dyno this thing out and figure out what they're going to do. I agree. Yeah. Sit on it till spring.
Yeah,
at least spring, and watch the internet. And of course, we'll be on top of it as much as we can.
Right.
To tell you, I haven't looked at Fuel Pack to even see if they have it ready. I'm not going to do it right now, but
I haven't either.
All right.
We'll have an episode on it. We'll have to come out. Maybe this winter, that'll be a good time to explore that.
So here's the deal. We're going to wrap it up. It's not like upgrading an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
We talk about the iPhone and you're like, oh, you're going to upgrade to the next model. Is it worth it? This is a big, huge deal. And so I'm going to kind of portray it to an iPhone, but about $21,000 to $25,000 more.
Oh, it is more expensive. Yeah, that's right.
It's 20. I think they're pricing out a regular Street Glide is like $29,999 or something like that. But is it to you? Because I looked at it and I'm not, I obviously can't afford to just go get a bike every time they come out with a new year. This is substantial motor change.
Yep.
It was substantial when I got my 14, the Rushmore project.
Right.
And I went out and did that just because of, again, there's a lot of things we didn't go. The 2017 still has the Street Glide Special has the reflex braking system, integrated braking system, ABS. They didn't change. It's still got all the boom box.
All the cool stuff.
It's got all the cool stuff. They kept all that stuff, but it was a substantial change from, that. Is it worth, if you can afford it,
to get a new bike?
Is this like the bee's knees. Of course, I would say coming from a 96
Oh,
or
sure.
something like that, I'm saying it's going to be so different. You're going to poop yourself. You're going to poop your drawers and urinate and excitement all over your jeans. But
Coming from my bike, so
coming
the
from
last
a 103,
year,
coming from your bike, yes.
Yeah, that was the last year of the basic 103.
And
So
you're-
the 14s got the upgraded cams and stuff. So I have the last year of the basic 103. I
right,
have
without the
ABS,
Rushmore project.
no Rushmore project. So
Yep.
it's with a cable clutch and all the horse.
Yep.
I'd have to ride one. I don't know. You're going to ride it and you're going to tell me, hey, yeah, it's awesome or whatever. You're not going to notice the difference that I would.
I'm going to go down and ride it. Yeah.
One thing that here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait because every time Harley changes something,
Yep.
the first couple years are jacked up. That's how design changes go.
A lot of, not just Harley, a lot of
anything,
car companies
anything.
and
Car-
motorcycle companies go through this.
Yes. And like I know with my Dodge, that when Dodge went from the 5.9 to the 6.7, there was all kinds of jacked up crap. And there was years and people were angry. I'm going to wait because they go in like 4 or 5 year stints. So I'm going to wait probably 3 years before I consider that. So like
Are you
2020.
serious?
Yeah.
That long?
I really like my bike. And like, other than I wish I could plug my phone directly into the bike, like instead of having just a 3.5 millimeter jack, I wish I could plug it in and charge it like yours does.
Right.
ABS was a big thing for me. So I have ABS.
Right.
Other than that, I really like my bike. I like the 103. For way less money, I can cam it and do heads.
Right. Yeah.
So for
Which
a quarter of
we
the
need to
price,
do,
like, there's
yeah.
a 107 kit out there with heads and everything. It's about $4,000, but it is amazing.
Yeah.
And it would smoke any of these. The 107 kit from, there's a company that put it all together. They dynoed it. And,
nice.
and then they have
See, that's
a
the
map
stuff
for
guys
it.
don't know.
Right. So for me, I don't know, I really like my bike and I'm clinging to the nostalgic concept of my bike in the years before, which
Right.
is, I saw guys 10 years, when I first started riding Harleys and it was 2010, and I'm seeing guys riding 98s, 99 Evos. I'm like, hey, that's kind of cool that bike is still running them around this long.
Right.
So, but I would wait. If you guys are seeking our opinions, actually I just gave it to you whether you wanted it or not. I would wait at least till 18 and let the 17 shake out and let
Right.
like with Boombox.
Yep.
The first year of Boombox was
They
kind of
didn't
a
make,
disaster.
if you guys are wondering, because I'm a big boombox guy, obviously, with my videos and training and YouTube videos everywhere, they didn't change a damn thing with the boombox. So if you're wondering real quick. So what is,
but totally cool design change. I think it's awesome. And when I read about it, I was like, damn you for making me read about this. Cause I was
know.
going to ignore it. Like put my head in the sand. And it doesn't
just to not risk purchasing one.
Exactly. And I'm not going to test ride one unless you force me to. And then I probably will, but
I'm going to go down with the guys I know and they'll hook me up with one. I'm going to film it. That'll be out in fall for you guys. So give me some time, but I am going to film it, do a walk around. I'll say a lot of the information we said on here. Then I'm going to test ride it. I'll do a moto vlog when I'm doing it and I'll give you guys real biker perspective.
yeah.
I don't want to get on a rant,
No.
but I'm tired of reading these guys. And please, if you're one listening, you have a job and it's your job, but I read these motorcycle things sometimes like motorcycle.com or whatever. And you got these guys that I cannot relate to them.
No, right.
I was riding through the twisty mountains and looking off in the distance, and I felt the overall calmness of the bike come into my soul and my spirit.
Yeah, like-
and it's just Harley-Davidson and the motor company has made big strides, and then I'm just like,
Shut up.
who the
Yeah. Shut up.
Just tell me the shit I need to know. Are you a biker or a freaking poet?
Go condition
They try
your
to
man
make
bun.
it. Don't
Right.
you
Yeah,
notice
oh,
that?
yeah.
They try to make the articles all creative writing and shit. That is not.
No.
That's half the reason I started Law Abiding Biker Media. Stop all the bullshit in the motorcycle industry.
We
We're
don't-
bikers. Just tell us like we did on this podcast. What does it mean for me?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It's freaking cool. Put some gas in it. Let's ride around.
Yeah, I don't care about what you were feeling looking at the mountains. I don't give a shit what you felt.
Go condition your man bun. Sorry if you guys have man buns, but go
Yeah.
condition your man bun and take a yoga class. Whatever.
No doubt.
We're bikers.
God. So anyways, that's my rant, but they have a job and that's fine. And,
Yeah, whatever.
and they sell commercials on their little websites and whatever, but this is a real biker site. So I'll tell you from a real biker perspective, what we think about it. But with that said, that's a lot of information.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
awesome.
real quick on me. Obviously if I had the money, of course, fuck, if you got money and you're rich,
Every 2 years, new bike. Yay.
yeah, I'm trying to run this thing for you guys, and it's got a lot of, so I'm going to go test ride it just because I have to do a video. I'm going to do it for you guys, for the company, for Law Abiding Biker Media. But I don't know. I honestly don't know. I would have to, I still owe on my bike.
Yeah.
And I have no idea till
Right.
I ride it, but I'm not going to ride it for that purpose to be like, I'm going to get one.
Right.
I'll see if it's so crazy that I'm like, the other thing is I could really use it to get some videos on.
Yeah, right. Right.
Because
Ahead
this
of time.
company, we rely on the newest, and it's tough because I don't want to drop it. I love my 103. I love my 14 Street Glide Special.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, how do I need somebody to buy one? Either you know what I mean? Because I need to put the air intake. I need to do exhaust. Right. I need to do EFI. It's the new 2017 and people are going to be asking questions about it. It's like, so if you guys can send me a bike so I can film it for you guys, that would be the only reason if we end up getting one.
Yeah.
It would just be to have it around here for that purpose.
Right.
Me personally, if I wasn't doing Law Abiding Biker Media and it was just me as a biker, no way. I would keep my 103 for a few more years, like you said.
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy it. I'm not going to get that 2 to 3 bike links at 0 to 60. I really don't give a shit.
For cheaper, you can do a lot.
Yes.
To the 103 for cheaper.
Right. Put cam it out a little bit.
Right. Exactly.
Oh God. Thanks, Oscar. It's really been great having you back in the studio, dude.
Missed you guys out there. I know I haven't been back in a while.
Yes. And, yep. There you go.
Awesome.
The man, the myth, the legend, yet
Another
wealth
awesome
of info.
session.
Thanks,
Dude.
guys. And again, this was live. Thanks, YouTube audience. Thanks for being with us. I hope the chat and everything worked out well, and we're figuring that out. I think we're going to use YouTube Live. I couldn't understand why. Next time I'll test it, and I'll get on your phone.
Sure.
Or my daughter's phone. That's what I'll do. I'll get on my daughter's phone. She's logged into a different account and see if
it works.
They're seeing something different than I am because I was logged into my account. Because they say they can chat on mobile and they can chat. I know you can do it on desktop because that's what I'm doing it. I'm reading a comment. Consider it on the way, Ryan. Would be the CBO limited be okay? That's me. I have a stock. Okay. Kind of confused about that one, but thanks for being in the chat room, guys.
Thanks, fellas and ladies.
Yep. That's right, guys. Don't ride without the slide. Bug Slide, guys, absolutely the best waterless motorcycle cleaner on the market. Bug Slide, tried and tested right here by the Law Abiding Biker crew. It is our #1 go-to waterless motorcycle cleaner. Bug Slide cleans, shines, degreases while removing bugs and other surface contaminants with ease. Use it on your motorcycle, car, boat. That's right, Oscar, your lawn, tractor, and more. Never need to wax again. The release agent in Bug Slide contains a UV filter for added protection. It's free of abrasives, safe on non-porous surfaces. Yes, even safe on that Harley denim paint. We get a lot of questions about that. We believe in it so much. We carry it in stock right in the Law Abiding Biker store. Available now. Big Daddy Kane has it ready to ship to you direct now. It'll be to you expeditiously. That's right. lawabidingbiker.com/store, guys. That is where you get it. It helps support this platform, and we have just as good a prices as anybody. And I dare say quicker shipping, guys. That's right. Lab Podcast hotline number 509-731-3548, or leave an internet voicemail from your computer, microphone, anywhere in the world for free. lawabidingbiker.com/voicemail, guys. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes and Stitcher Radio if you can't help us financially right now. lawabidingbiker.com/iTunes or /Stitcher Radio. Helps bump us up in the rankings. That's right, guys. So more bikers around the world can find us and join this thing we call the Biker Revolution.